decided to go back to Matt and Glow in the Dark Studios because we felt so comfortable with him and the studio. And I feel like it's really hard to get comfortable with a producer and a studio, because you usually, at least for me, you feel really tense because it is a studio, you know, it is a producer. And Matt to us is more than just a producer, he is our friend. So it's so different when you have that vibe going.
I actually got to use my Risen kit I just got a couple months ago. When we first got here, we had a couple things we had to finish writing, so I just set up my full kit, my cymbals, my snare, just to see how they would sound. And one by one, we would replace pieces. Whether that ended up replacing the floor tom with the Gretsch floor tom that they have here.
Ab has this like really good sense of coming up with technical drum parts as well as really groovy stuff. Like he's, especially in the past few years, have just really like gotten into this like groove oriented stuff, which is awesome.
Stop.
Dude, that's the best drum beat I've ever heard in my entire life.
Thank you, I just made it up.
I would have to say that Abishai is one of the most caring, loving dudes that I have ever met in my life. That it could be a stranger on the street, a bum, anybody, you know, and he would love on him like no other person would.
Pow right in the kisser. 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 Pow right in the kisser.
Wow. Was that right?
Odd about Abishai that most people don't know. His middle name is the letter J.
You did it.
Not J-A-Y. His middle name is one letter. J. It's pretty odd.
Alright, come check it out in here.
I don't know if we really had a set goal or idea of what we wanted this record to be. I know that the songs all got written in a much shorter, tighter time frame than we've ever written anything before. And I think the more we're on the road, the more we find ourselves listening to more ambient or like chiller, like melodic kind of music. but we're all still into very like aggressive, like hard-hitting stuff. So I mean, I would say that the heavy parts on the record are definitely heavy and heavier than we've ever done, but in a different way.
Darren, musically, I feel like me and him see eye to eye with a lot of things, and the stuff that he writes, I mean, very few times do I go, I don't know if I like it. I mean, everything, for the most part, that he writes, I'm blown away by his talent and his passion to write that kind of music and to be a better guitar player too, which, I mean, it just blows my mind.
Darren just is a very creative person. He's like a very do-it-yourself person, which is nice to have in a band. I mean, musically, he pretty much maps out all the songs and brings them, you know, to us. So, I mean, without him, none of these songs would be written.
It's not in spring, is it?
Nope.
It's not kind of springy. Alright, ready?
Yeah, the gear we ended up using a lot on this record was a lot of the gear that I used live. My orange Rock Reverb 50 is the main tone for the heavy stuff. And then a 65 Fender Blackface Bassman was a lot of the clean to overdriven stuff. I would say with this record, you're still going to hear the Overseer, but expect to hear more diversity. I feel like everybody has stepped up their game more. I mean, every song has a cool bass line, every song has a cool drum groove, and there's just a lot more diversity, I would say, out of all of us. And we've pushed ourselves very hard to make that happen and to do something that is bigger and better than the last record. Because if we weren't doing that, what's the point?
So on the first album, I had always kind of wondered how bands would get great bass tone. Like, I would see bands that had good live tone, and then I'd hear the record and it either did translate really well or it didn't translate at all. And so I wondered how the bands that did get that good tone got it. So we ran like a dirty tone and a clean tone and then blended the two, and that turned out great. So on this one, having that in mind, we got a lot crazier with pedals. We ran different pedals on every single song, whereas the last record, it was one tone for the entire record. We found a good tone, it worked, and we recorded the whole record with it. With this one, we went song by song and broke it down, and it worked out great.
Brad has probably the longest fingers to palm ratio out of anybody I know. I feel like if Brad and E.T. got in the same room, they could literally touch the moon with their fingers combined.
Huh? Do it the way you were doing it.
Other than that, Brad's fairly normal.
I listen to a lot of bands that the bass player is actually relevant in the band. He's not just one of their friends that they needed to fill the spot of playing bass. And that doesn't make me a good bass player, because I'm not. I'm very, very poor at my instrument. I just want to write stuff that I would want to listen to. I'll listen to Abishai's kick patterns or Tom Phil's and then take certain parts of Darren's lead lines that I like and build bass lines, I guess, for a lack of better words.
Flowers will grow from her fallen body. Flowers will grow. Rise to For this record, it has a theme, but I wouldn't really call it a concept. I mean, initially, this record is about, you know, things in my life that I've experienced through death. And for a very long time, I had feared death, and I had feared what comes after and where I go after that. And through this record, I think you'll be able to tell, and with lyrics and just the music behind it, can get a vibe of that and my journey to get past it.
Tony's a great front man. He does everything like in a real genuine way, and I think people can tell, which I feel like is really important in the kind of music that we play, or really any kind of music. I think that's really lacking in music today.
Are you guys singing?
Yeah.
You're too far back.
It literally did not pick up at all.
Really?
Not at all.
I heard nothing.
I don't want to make out with him.
I'm a firm believer on change. I wouldn't be here without change. And I think for a lot of people, we all go through a lot of change and a lot of pain. And I feel like to write about that with hope in it can really save a life, including mine, which saved my life. So that is the sole reason that I do this, is because of, you know, I believe in hope and I believe in change, and that would definitely be the reason that I do this.